Hare Krishna, devotees, welcome to day 8 of our Bhakti Vaibhava seminar on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4. And we are in the 4th chapter of the 4th canto. But we're in the section, I think it's section 3, is it? Let me just see, yes, section 3. From verse 11 to verse 27, titled, In Anger, Sati Quits Her Body. And it is just, it's one of the most extreme and extraordinary sections or parts of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. It really is. It's just another dimension. It's really another dimension altogether. However, first of all, though, let us chant our prayers. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharne Niravishesha Shunyavadi Paschachade Shatarne Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. Right, on to verse 22. So she continues. You are an offender at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. And unfortunately, I have a body produced from yours. I'm very much ashamed of our bodily relationship, and I condemn myself because my body is contaminated by a relationship with a person who is an offender at the lotus feet of the greatest personality. Yes, right, greatest personality. Lord Shiva is the greatest of all devotees. Vaishnavanam Yata Shambho. Yeah. And just in the previous verses, Sati describing Lord Shiva, his wonderful position, she's made the point he's always in the transcendental position because he's in pure Vasudev, the pure Vasudev state. And that Vasudev state is the state from which Krishna is born. And he's always in that state, Lord Shiva. So therefore Shiva is the greatest devotee of Krishna. And Sati's behavior is good, it's exemplary, because no one should tolerate blasphemy against Vishnu or his devotee. Right. So Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying, Sati is aggrieved not for her personal association with Lord Shiva, but because her body is related with that of Daksha, who's an offender at Lord Shiva's lotus feet. She feels herself to be condemned because of the body given by her father, Daksha. Right, on we go to verse 23. Sati continues, because of our family relationship, when Lord Shiva addresses me as Dakshayani, I at once become morose, and my jolliness and my smile at once disappear. I feel very much sorry that my body, which is just like a bag, has been produced by you. I shall therefore give it up. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Things are really coming to a great climax now. So Dakshayani, yes, we've come across that term before, means daughter of Daksha. And sometimes when they're relaxing together, Lord Shiva would address Sati as Dakshayani. But then she would feel very bad because it would remind her, of course, of her family relationship with Daksha. She'd feel offended. She'd feel ashamed because of his offenses. I mean, she'd feel offended too. So Daksha's the embodiment of envy because of his blasphemy of Lord Shiva. So Sati, simply by hearing Dakshayani, she would feel afflicted because she felt her body was the symbol of all the offensiveness of Daksha. So Srila Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying, since her body was constantly a source of unhappiness, she decided to give it up. Okay, so on we go, devotees, to verse 24. Maitreya, the sage, told Vidura, O annihilator of enemies, while thus speaking to her father in the arena of sacrifice, Sati sat down on the ground and faced north. Dressed in saffron garments, she sanctified herself with water and closed her eyes to absorb herself in the process of mystic yoga. Wow. So, I mean, there's a practice actually. When someone wants to leave their body, you may dress in saffron. This is what Sati's doing. Even, if you read some of these stories, I mean, not just stories, but accounts, historical accounts of some of the great Hindu kings who are fighting the Muslims when they and their soldiers, they're trying to fight the Muslims, but the Muslims just greatly outnumbered them. So, and they couldn't escape. So they're just going to die. They're going to be killed in battle. So they would know that. So they'd all wear saffron. And then they go into battle and all be killed. So here, it seems, well, I mean, it's clear, Sati has changed her clothes, indicating she's about to give up her body, her sort of Daksha body from Daksha. So she could have killed him, but instead of killing him, I mean, she could have tried to kill him. Who knows if she would have been able to. But instead of doing that, she thought better to destroy the part of his body that was hers. Because her body has come from his body. Her body is a manifestation of his body. So she wants to destroy that. The part of his body that's hers. And she's going to do this by a yogic process. So, Lord Shiva is Yogeshwar, he's a great, great mystical yogi. And she had learnt mystical yogic processes from him. And perfection of yoga is to give up one's body or release oneself from material embodiment according to one's desire. So the advanced yogis, I mean, it's there in Bhagavad Gita, they're not subject to death by natural laws. They leave when they want. like the example of Bhishma. When he wanted, he left his body. So generally, first of all, they become mature as yogis by controlling the airs in their body, and thus they bring the soul to the top of the brain. Then when the body bursts into flame, the yogi, means the soul, can go wherever he likes. So the real yoga system then recognizes the soul, and as such it's distinct from modern yoga. Just exercises sitting this way or that way and all that. So Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying, the real yoga process accepts the transmigration of the soul from one planet to another or one body to another, and it appears from this incident that Sati wanted to transfer her soul to another body or sphere. Okay, verse 25. First of all, she sat in the required sitting posture, and then she carried the life ear upwards and placed it in the position of equilibrium near the navel, means the waist. Then she raised her life ear, mixed with intelligence, to the heart, and then gradually towards the pulmonary passage, and from there to between her eyebrows. So Srila Prabhupada goes into a bit of some detail here. This is a description of the yogic process, the practice involved in that mystical yogic process. First of all, you control the air which is moving within the body in different places, called the Shat Chakra, the 6 circles of air circulation throughout the body. So first of all, you control it. Then you raise it from the abdomen to the navel, navel to heart, heart to throat, throat to between the eyebrows, and eyebrows to the top of the cerebrum, or the crown of the head, right? And Prabhupada says this is the sum and substance of practicing yoga. But before doing this, you have to practice the sitting postures as they help the breathing exercises. Those breathing exercises which control the ears going up, down, and their general movement. So that's a great technique for coming to a high level in yoga, but it's not for this age, so devotees, don't get into it. Because now no one can do that. But people, they do these exercises, but Prabhupada says it's more or less gymnastics. Yeah. It's more or less just gymnastics. It's not yoga. It's just some exercise. Maybe good for circulation, keeping fit, but you're not going to achieve any sort of perfectional stage. It's not for keeping the body fit. And rather, any type of yogic process, any transcendental process, will automatically help keep the body fit, as it is the soul that keeps the body fresh, of course. But it's just, indirectly a sort of side issue. But as soon as the soul keeps the body fresh, fit. As soon as the soul is out of the body decomposes. So if anyone takes it that the ultimate goal of yoga is to maintain the body, that's a big mistake. The real yogic perfection is to take the soul to the highest position, or really to liberate the soul from material entanglement. Some yogis try to elevate the soul to higher material situations for material comfort. That's there. But others try to elevate the soul to the spiritual world. Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying, the Bhakti Yoga process directly elevates the soul to the spiritual planets, where life is eternally blissful and full of knowledge. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga is considered to be the greatest of all yoga systems. Absolutely. Right, so on to verse 26. There's the translation. Thus, in order to give up her body, which had been so respectfully and affectionately seated on the lap of Lord Shiva, who is worshipped by great sages and saints, Sati, due to anger towards her father, began to meditate on the fiery air within the body. So here, Lord Shiva is described as the best of all great souls. And although her body was from Daksha, Sati, or Shiva would adore her by sitting her on his lap. Prabhupada says it's very nice. This is a great expression of respect. So therefore her body was never ordinary. But still she decided to give it up because of unhappiness due to its connection with Daksha. And Prabhupada makes an important point that this severe example set by Sati is to be followed. We should be extremely careful about associating with people who are not respectful to higher authorities. Really. So therefore, Vedic literatures say we shouldn't associate with atheists and non-devotees, only with devotees, because by the devotee association, we'll come to self-realization. And this is stressed in many places in the Bhagavatam. If we want to be liberated, we have to associate with great souls. And if we want to continue materialistic life, then we should just associate with materialists. Means people whose life is based on sex. So becoming addicted to sex and associating with people who are addicted to sex, this is all condemned in Vedic literature and will interfere with our progress, spiritual progress. But association with great devotees will elevate us spiritually. So Sati wanted to give up this body she got from Daksha and get another body which would be better for associating in with Lord Shiva without contamination. So Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying, of course it's understood that in her next life she would take birth as the daughter of the Himalayas, Parvati, and then she would again accept Lord Shiva as her husband. Sati and Lord Shiva are eternally related. Even after she changes her body, their relationship is never broken. Okay, on to verse 27. Sati concentrated all her meditation on the holy lotus feet of her husband, Lord Shiva, who is the supreme spiritual master of all the world. Thus she became completely cleansed of all taints of sin. and quit her body in a blazing fire by meditation on the fiery elements. Wow, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So she immediately thought of the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. And as soon as she did, she felt ecstatic, free from this nonsense material body. So, but Prabhupada says, this pleasure was material, because she gave up one body for another material body. But still, by this example, we can appreciate the devotee's pleasure on focusing the mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. There's so much pleasure in that one forgets anything but the Lord's transcendental form. So that's the perfection of samadhi. Right. So it's stated here in the verse that by meditation she became free from all contamination. So what was that contamination? The contamination was her concept of the body derived from Daksha. But she forgot that relationship when she was in trance. So Prabhupada says the purport is that when we become free from bodily relationships in this world and simply place ourselves in the position of eternal servants of the Lord, it's understood that all contamination of material attachment has been burned by the fire of transcendental ecstasy. If you forget all your bodily relationships, become situated in spiritual identity, you're already freed from contamination by the fire of ecstasy. Blazing fire of ecstasy, that is the topmost perfection of yoga. Whereas if you keep bodily relationships in this world and try to pose as a great devotee, you're not bona fide. Bhagavatam 2.4.15 says, simply by chanting the name of the Lord, by remembering his lotus feet, offering prayers, one is immediately freed from contamination by the blazing fire of ecstasy. Okay, so right now there's a second paragraph here. Let's have a look. Srila Jiva Goswami says, it's just a short paragraph, that Sati quit her body means she gave up within her heart her relationship with Daksha. Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also comments that since Sati is the deity of material energy, when she left her body, she didn't get a spiritual body, but simply transferred from the body she'd received from Daksha. And Prabhupada says, other commentators also say that she immediately transferred herself into the womb of Menaka, her future mother. Wow. So Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying, she gave up the body she'd received from Daksha and immediately transferred herself to another, better body. But this does not mean she got a spiritual body. Krishna, wow. Okay, that's the end of that section. What a section, my Lord. And next is section 4, verses 28, 29, and 30, which we've called People Conjecture why Sati gave up her body. So I'm just going to read straight through here. 28. When Sati annihilated her body in anger, there was a tumultuous roar all over the universe. Why had Sati, the wife of the most respectable demigod, Lord Shiva, quit her body in such a manner? Whoa. I mean, isn't it mind-blowing? Isn't it just amazing, amazing. So, there was roaring all over the universe and in the demigod societies because Sati was, on one side, she's the daughter of the great King Daksha, and on the other side, she's the wife of Lord Shiva, who's the greatest of all the demigods. What on earth? So why did she become so angry? Prabhupada makes the point. She had nothing to desire because she's the daughter of a great person and wife of a great person. Nothing to desire. Still she gave up her body in dissatisfaction. This is most astonishing. You can't achieve complete satisfaction even if you have the greatest material opulence. And there was nothing material she could not achieve from a father or husband. Still she was dissatisfied. Therefore, Bhagavatam says, real satisfaction of body, mind, and soul comes from devotional service only. Verse 29, it was astonishing that Daksha, who was Prajapati, the maintainer of all living entities, was so disrespectful to his own daughter Sati, who was not only chaste, but was also a great soul. So disrespectful that she gave up her body because of his neglect. So there's a word here Prabhupada points out, anatmya, second word in the Sanskrit. It means neglect. And it indicates that although Daksha appeared to be living, actually he was a dead body. Otherwise, how could he neglect his daughter? It's just not possible. His duty is to look after all the living entities. He's Prajapati. So how could he neglect his daughter, who was the most chaste great soul and who deserved the most respect and care from him? Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying, the death of Sati, because of her being neglected by Daksha, her father, was most astonishing to all the great demigods of the universe. Okay, verse 30. Daksha, who is so hard-hearted that he is unworthy to be a Brahmin, will gain extensive ill fame because of his offenses to his daughter, because of not having prevented her death, and because of his great envy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, we have a purport here. Let's go through it quickly. So he's described, Daksha is described here as most hard-hearted, therefore he's not qualified to be a Brahmin. The term is Brahmadruk. It's described by some commentators to mean Brahma Bandhu, or friend of the Brahmins, but not a Brahmin. Because Brahmins are generally very soft-hearted and forbearing, because they control the mind and senses. But Daksha was not forbearing. simply because his son-in-law, Lord Shiva, didn't stand up for him. He became so angry and hard-hearted, he tolerated the death of his dearest daughter. I mean, isn't it incredible, devotees? What happened to Daksha? What happened to him because of his pride? So Sati wanted to work things out by coming to his house, even uninvited. So he should have received her and forgot all the past misunderstandings, but he was so hard-hearted. He's not worthy of being called an Aryan or a Brahmin. And his ill fame still continues today. Daksha does not have a good name. He got his name, Daksha. Daksha means expert, because he was expert in having children, hundreds and thousands of them. So Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying, persons who are too sexually inclined and materialistic become so hard-hearted because of a slight loss of prestige that they can tolerate even the death of their children. Right, so now, devotees, we're right at the end of the 4th chapter. Here's the last section, number 5, verse 31 to 34, called Confrontation at the Yajna. The whole thing's going to sort of heat up now. Okay, what is it? 31, yeah, 31. So while people were talking among themselves about the wonderful voluntary death of Sati, the attendants who had come with her readied themselves to kill Daksha with their weapons. So there's a very short paragraph, 2 sentences, let's just read it. The attendants who came with Sati were meant to protect her from calamities. But since they were unable to protect their master's wife, they decided to die for her. And before dying, they wanted to kill Daksha. It is the duty of attendants to give protection to their master, and in case of failure, it is their duty to die. So now these are the followers of Lord Shiva, the followers of Sati. Verse 32. They came forward forcibly, but Bhrigu Muni saw the danger, and offering oblations into the southern side of the sacrificial fire, immediately uttered mantric hymns from the Yajur Veda, by which the destroyers of yogic performances could be killed immediately. Prabhupada was a short purport, actually. This is an example of powerful Vedic hymns, which, if they're chanted properly, perform amazing things. So, of course, now in Kali Yuga, it's not possible to find such mantra chanters. So therefore, all Vedic sacrifices are forbidden. The only sacrifice recommended for this age, Kali Yuga, is the chanting of Hare Krishna. Now it's not even possible to get funds for these sacrifices, nor to find Brahmins who are expert enough to chant those Vedic mantras. Verse 33. When Bhrigu Muni offered oblations in the fire, immediately many thousands of demigods named Ribus became manifested. All of them were powerful, having achieved strength from Soma, the moon. So yeah, there's a short purport here. Brigu so powerful that by his offering oblations in the fire, chanting particular hymns, thousands of demigods manifested. Yes, just by mantra. These mantras, the mantras are still available, but the chanters are not. I mean, people may be able to speak the sounds, but it doesn't have the Shakti. So, Prabhupada says, by chanting Vedic mantras or Gayatri or Rig mantra, one can get the result one wants. One can get the result one wants. And Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying, in the present age of Kali, it is recommended by Lord Chaitanya that simply by chanting Hare Krishna, one can attain all perfection. Right, and finally, verse 34, last verse, in this chapter 4 of the 4th canto, when the Ribu demigods attacked the ghosts and guyakas with half-burned fuel from the yagya fire, all these attendants of Sati fled in different directions and disappeared. This was possible simply because of Brahma Tejas, Brahminical power. So Prabhupada says the word Brahma Tejasa, used in this verse, is significant. In those days, Brahmins were so powerful that if they simply desired and chanted Vedic mantras, they could accomplish all sorts of wonderful things. But now, in this degraded age of Kali, there are no such Brahmins. They just don't exist. According to Pancharatrika system, in this age now, everyone is Sudra, Kalo Sudra Sambhava. Janmana Jayate Sudra, everyone's born as Sudra. Brahminical culture is lost. But if anyone shows signs of understanding Krishna consciousness, he should be accepted according to the Smriti regulations as a prospective Brahmin. If someone shows signs of understanding Krishna consciousness, not like big experts, but signs, some attraction is there, then they can be trained up. And they should be trained up to achieve so they can achieve the highest perfection. So Srila Prabhupada concludes the purport and the chapter 4 by saying, the most magnanimous gift of Lord Chaitanya's is that the highest perfection of life is available in this fallen age if one simply adopts the process of chanting Hare Krishna, which is able to bring about the fulfillment of all activities in self-realization. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Tomorrow we will carry on. We'll begin chapter 5 of the 4th canto.